first reading on this. There are no changes to the proposed, but we're here to talk about that. The biggest change is that there is now a projected 24-25 column. That is the auditor's numbers as of today. I do expect some changes. I do believe they will give us a draft report, and I want to go through a few items that I've thought, So I want to go through a few of those with them and just get to a happy place. So let's have any kind of questions right up front. As I said, there's nothing proposed changes from the mayor.
I have one.
Okay.
The general fund, the one we got a couple of weeks ago, balance ending in the projective was $2,100,000. Now it went to $3,721,000.
I did fail to let you know that when it changed the projected 2024 column from the auditor's numbers, that affected the ending balance, which directly affects the proposed balance. The fund balance is rolling forward each year from June 30 to July 1. Obviously, it just updates itself. So when I change the projected number from the auditors, it automatically changed the beginning proposed number. So yes, that's a good catch.
Same thing on the street.
Every fund, yes.
It went down $80,000 from the one we got 2 weeks ago.
What was the beginning balance?
2 weeks ago.
Oh.
It was 80,000. Yeah. 2 weeks ago it was 99,548, and the one was handed out today is 19,615.
In your line above that, where operating transfers end, do you have a number on that line?
2 weeks ago was 148,838, and the new one was 68,905.
I mean, in the operations transfers in line, just about 4 lines above the 19,000.
It's the same, 49,290.
Oh, okay.
That's the excess, and then the other two are blank.
Right, that's what I was, but on the one that you've got 2 weeks ago, was that transfer line still blank?
Yes.
Okay. I'll have to look at that after the session. I do not have my copy of the previous one with me.
And then on the drug fund, 2 weeks ago was 84,597, and the new one was 711.
I can see I did not check the impact of the auditor's numbers on every fund. instead of 17,181,000. So that puts water in a better position. Gas is correct. Sorry about that.
And then in the general debt, 2 weeks ago it was 1,081,000, and the new one dropped 50,000.
On fund balance ending, is that what you're saying?
Yes, that, we talked about that, and that was one of the changes that we talked about, that you might want to put 150,000, allow that much to go to general fund in case it's necessary. And general fund has transfers in of 158,000, which is 58,000. So that should be 150 right there. In general fund, where we've got transfers in, not that you're going to need to do that, but it's allowed, is what you're allowing it to do. That should be 208,000. So then across the funds, it's correct.
Where are you adding that 208, Joel?
It is in the general fund. Column 3, where it has 158,000 transfer in, that should be 208,000.
On what page?
Page 4.
Page 4.
Page 4. Column 3 at the bottom, where you see 158, that should be 208. Recognizing that you might pull 150,000. Oh wait, not the. It does say 208,000. I'm sorry. Column 4 is correct. 208,000. It's just that the debt service fund on mine correctly shows 158,000. 150,000. Yeah. Because we talked at the meeting, instead of, there was 100,000 there initially, I believe, and now it's 150,000. Did your copy from 2 weeks ago show 100,000 column 4 on page 9?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we talked about that. It should be 150,000 with the change. I think there were only 3 or 4 changes, and that was one of them.
Then on the water and sewer fund, it increased 35,000 on page 11 fund.
Page 11? Okay. Does your original from 2 weeks ago show transfers out of 35,000?
Yes. So that's what that was, right? Yes.
That would be the most likely cause. Because I've got 35,000 in transfers out on this one, and it should have also been on the first reading.
It was on the first reading.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And the last one, the gas increased to, let's see, let me find it. 200,000. 3,287,000. No, that's ending asset. Which one now?
Total revenue at the top on column 4.
455. Am I right?
No,
No. Look on,
page 12, the column 4, total revenue.
right there. That's the old one.
Okay. 2,849.
That's what I've got on this one also. Okay, so what is your total
At the ending,
expenses?
yes.
2,709,600.
No, your net asset ending at the very bottom.
I'm asking on the one that from 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is your total operating expenses show?
3,287,000.
Hey, and make sure y'all are really speaking into the mic. This is on live stream, and I just had somebody text me, and they can't hear us very well, so
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we can turn volume up, but just put your outside voice on.
May I see your original
Yeah.
from 2 weeks ago? Now, your total expenses show 2,709,600, just like my current one shows. Oh, okay, it's the same issue, is that your amount flowing in from the projected column is now changed because the auditors changed their number. That's the only reason it's changed, because we've got the same change in net assets of 116,600. What other questions might there be?
Now, let me understand. The first page, page 1, that's your grants, property taxes, and everything. Our total revenues
Correct.
is $6,319,000, correct?
Correct. The only other items coming in that are not in revenue are the transfers in on page 4, near the bottom. But that is the correct total projected revenues on page 1, bottom right-hand corner. Well, the bottom right-hand corner is your budgeted total revenue. The second column is the projected 2025-26 revenue. Column 1 is the auditor's expected revenue. They are not totally final with the budget yet, but that is ideally going to happen before the end of the year, end of fiscal year, which is June 30.
So the property tax will bring in $1,905,000, and the difference between the $6,319,000 is grants and other stuff that's coming in to the general fund. Is that correct?
Yes, the total revenue of $8,371,000 in column 2 is higher than the revenue projected in your budget proposed, because the column 2 projected has some rather large one-time grants. So if you were to pull those grants out, it would be very similar from one year to the next.
Both the courthouse and the terminal projects were hefty projects this year that created a larger amount on that number.
Okay, thanks.
And those same grants affect the expenses on the next 3 pages of the general fund. those projects. If you look over at debt service, which is page 9, you'll see that state sales tax is projected by the auditors at $491,523. We are projecting, just based on the average monthly sales tax collected, with maybe just a little bit of bump in June and May, June, July, when the revenue goes up, that's where that 499 is increased to a little bit over 491. Then this year, 26, 27, it's got just a minor bump to 500,000. The debt payments are all carved in stone based on the required payments set forth by those obligations. Looks like one undecided item that we don't have from the auditor would be on page 1. Halfway down, you'll see a revenue called ARPA funds. Those are funds that were from COVID money. There are still some on balance, and if those had been earned by spending the money that came from the grants, that line will have a revenue item in it. So it would basically be pulling from a deferred revenue and a liability on the balance sheet, and it'd be moving to actual revenue. It's just an accounting item, but I'd like to see that revenue be spent, earned effectively. That would help the revenue, not that it really needs help, but it would also increase the bottom fund balance, which would increase in the beginning balance of each year. Just as I say, how the fund balance rolls over from year to year, it would increase the beginning balance of fiscal year 25-26, which would increase 26-27.
What can that be spent on? I know in the past you was limited on what you could spend COVID on.
Right.
And right now, I mean, we don't have any of those monies to be spending that are delineated, but, you know, always whenever they give us money that's earmarked for certain grants or whatever, they give us strict guidelines on what it can be used for. And that's a good point, because sometimes I don't think everybody understands that when we get money that has a tag on it, we can't transfer it over to other departments for utilization, but
right. One line item might stand out. If you look in page 1, halfway down again, just a little bit higher than we were a minute ago, just right above that ARPA line is other state revenue allocations. The auditors are right now showing $780,000. What we have collected through this point is not the $178,000 that shows in line 2. Rather, look above in that top of that category, you see that $2,811,000 under Tennessee grant funds. That same, the top of the second category, $2,811,395, received in the same line item that the auditors have 77, essentially 780,000. I've reclassified most of it up into that Tennessee grants where it should be. The auditors will probably likely, they should also reclassify that amount up to the top line. They have not yet done so. That would be one of the items I would talk to them about before the audit report is issued.
Arno, are you still studying to see if you have questions, or do you have any questions for him right now?
Of course, we just got projected now. I was just looking at last year, what we budgeted and what was projected. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Y'all will feel like me.
Yeah.
So one item I will address on page 11, the far left column, down by, as part of the capital contributions, you'll see federal grants, state grants. And just to help you understand how the fund balance works, see, those federal grants are revenue of the water department. And yes, we turn around and spend every bit of it. That's what it was for plant improvements. And yet the fund balance is going, see in the first column, it says $17,438,425 is the ending fund balance projected by the auditors in 2024-25. And that then flows up. It should be in the 25-26 column. We mentioned this earlier. That should be, instead of 17,181, that should be the 17,438. And you think, well, how does the fund balance go up if you have revenue and then you spend it all? It's because those funds were spent on fixed assets, which are not an annual expense. Those fixed assets add to your items that you own. So you now have more fixed assets that are depreciating over a long period of time. So cash-wise, you're back to where you were, because you get the money in, you spend it, but it doesn't show up as an annual expense. Rather, it's depreciated over 30, 50 years, depending on what the asset is. With the general fund, it doesn't work that way. When you get in a grant, you spend it, and it shows up as an expense on the books. It's just a different type of fund. It's a revenue. General fund, you spend, you don't book assets on the balance sheet like you do in the water department, gas department.
David, you got anything? Lance? questions for Joel during the work session?